Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Uranium Market Minute. My name is Justin Hune. I am your host. I'm the founder and publisher of the Uranium Insider Pro newsletter, the only investing newsletter that focuses solely on uranium and publishes on a regular monthly basis. Thank you again for tuning in. I appreciate you listening. Really quick, I want to mention that nothing in this video, in this podcast, is intended to be financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. Please always do your own due diligence when making investments. We discuss a very, very volatile sector, and it's very important that you take responsibility for your own investments in this sector. So with that said, let's jump right into the daily scoreboard. So the price of uranium jumped up another dollar today to $52 a pound spot price. This is over a 9-year high. The spot price has been on an absolute tear over the past month, with the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust buying hand over fist. They took in another $54 million in new capital yesterday, bringing the total 3-day intake so far this week to $167 million. They did not raise any money on Monday. As you remember, that was day 2 of a quiet period between the two ATMs, the at-the-market financing vehicles. So they purchased a total yesterday, which was a record for them, a daily record, 1.45 million pounds of uranium yesterday alone, with purchases just this week totaling 2.8 million pounds. And they went home with 32 million in cash after yesterday's close. So this is now the 1-month anniversary of SPUT's ATM. In total, they've raised 443.2 million in that 1 month, and they've purchased 9.4 million pounds of U3O8. Absolutely phenomenal. So yes, we're seeing just unbelievable moves in the spot price, primarily due to Sprott buying, but they're not the only buyers in the market, and we know that for a fact. So very interesting to see what goes on forward from this moment here. Let's look at the sector ETFs. Yesterday, URA issued 510,000 new shares, and URNM issued another 850,000 shares. This is absolutely insane. That's another 90 million in mandated buying from the ETFs, simply from what they raised yesterday with that share issuance. Absolutely insane. Let's take a look at the trading action in the markets today. Today is the first big sell-off here that we're seeing since August 17th. All right, let's take a look at Cameco. That's some pretty nasty daily candle here for Cameco. We're running almost right up against some previous resistance here, very, very close to that. Maybe another 5% down to hit that, couple percent down to hit that mark, that 2187 mark here. I think any of these major uranium plays that are going to hit that previous resistance, it probably poses a strong buying opportunity here. Let's take a look at a couple of others in the space. NextGen Energy, a big down day for NextGen as well. Just huge. This is the biggest sell-off we've seen in this past month, and most of these stocks are giving up their entire week's gains, even closing down on the week. Let's take a look at the ETFs. URA, huge down day, although we're seeing a bit of dip buying in the last hour of trading here, which is curious. What we're seeing here, and take note of this, pretty good volume, daily volume coming into URA and on the sell side. So what does that mean? More selling is ahead of us. So I expect that next week, probably in the early trading of Monday, maybe into Tuesday, we'll see a bit more selling. I also expect that something about this sell-off today feels a little bit engineered or manipulated. There's something here. I mean, first of all, technically the stocks were overbought, right? So they needed a reason to sell off, and that's how these markets work. We'll see euphoric moves up, everybody's cheerleading, and then something will pop that bubble. And usually it's a piece of news. So today we had a piece of news come out saying that Kazatomprom was considering selling pounds to Sprott, that Sprott had contacted them, that they would be reaching out to see if they had pounds to sell, if they can clear out what's in the spot market. This, to me, I think that the market is reacting in a bearish way to this. And I'm not going to try to give this a bullish spin, but I will speak to it for a second. It's important to understand Kazatomprom's production methodology and really what they can do here. So first of all, about half of Kazatomprom's production already goes to China. They have already talked about making more pounds available to China as China is wanting to continue to build their stockpiles because their build out is so impressive. Then we have to also recognize that with Kazatomprom's ISR production, the way that this works is that if they put a lot of money and effort into expanding well field development for the ISR mines, that there's a lag time between that development and when pounds start to become produced from that. So its peak production is 12 to 18 months from that well field development. So it's not like Sput can come to them and be like, hey, we need pounds right away. They'll say, okay, we'll get right on it. And the pounds are coming out of the ground in short order. This is a longer term period. So even if, let's say, Kazatomprom were to put a lot of energy into well field development here, which obviously also goes against what they've signaled to the market, which is they don't intend to ramp any production through 2023. So they want to go against what they've already signaled to the market? That's kind of that's not a good thing for a company like this that's already taken this messaging to the market. With that said, any ramping that they would in theory do would be at least 12 months away before we saw significant pounds coming from that ramping, judging by the volumes that we've seen Sprott come into the market for in terms of the spot market. 12 months is a very, very long time, as we've seen a 50% price rise in the spot price in that month and almost 10 million pounds purchased. So the other thing to consider is that the spot market has maybe 1.5 to 2 million pounds of, let's call it, fresh supply that's coming in from production on a monthly basis. Okay, that's a decent amount of pounds and has been sufficient for traders to be able to access those pounds for fulfilling the carry trades, things like that over the past years. But when we're talking about 10 million pounds purchased in a month, that's clearly insufficient to supply the type of demand that's coming from the financial players currently. Do we expect those demands to continue? Not necessarily. And we're actually seeing lower volumes in Sput today. So obviously their buying is going to slow down based on this one single day of funds flowing. All of this is to say that I believe that two things are happening today. One is retail is taking profits and negatively reacting to the news about Kazatomprom. And two is I think that there's some smart money moves happening here. I think that this market is being slightly manipulated and engineered down, probably because that same smart money wants to add to positions or take new positions at lower entries. We still consider this, not necessarily today, but I would look at next week as a buying opportunity. Look for maybe a bit more downside. But I think that it's clear that smart money has come into this space in a big, big way in the past month. And I don't believe that they are exiting this opportunity with this current price action here. So just wanted to make some observations on that. I know a lot of people see one down day after 4 weeks of going almost up in a straight line and they start to panic. And these markets will always correct. They're always correct. So you have to expect that kind of volatility. You can't get outsized moves to the upside without volatile down days like this to the downside. So hang in there. I want to also speak really briefly about what's going on in Europe with this energy crisis. I had a question come in to the mailbag here, which is, what is this I hear about the energy crisis developing in Europe? Can you speak on that a bit? First of all, yes, it's really actually kind of happening right now. They're seeing soaring natural gas prices, soaring coal prices. They've had lower wind speeds across the continent. And it's all kind of coalescing into this major crisis that's happening across the continent of Europe, and especially affecting the countries that do not have a lot of nuclear, in particularly Germany. They're seeing skyrocketing energy rates. Okay, Germany already pays one of the highest energy rates in Europe, and it's going up to record highs currently. They've totally turned their back on nuclear. They have, I believe, 5, maybe 6 plants still running that are slated to come offline later this year and next year. They're planning to be out of nuclear by 2022. However, there's potential for this crisis to be so bad that they may not have a choice to leave some of these remaining plants online, having to do with the huge price spikes they're seeing for gas and coal. This is really happening here. And we're going to go much deeper into this in this month's newsletter, or October's newsletter for members for the Uranium Insider Pro newsletter. Every single month, we go very deep into the macro and we try to distill that down into what's actionable for you as an investor. If you're interested in finding out more about the newsletter, click the link in the description for this video. And we will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.